The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of the OnPurpose Growth Podcast, or welcome back to the OnPurpose Growth Podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about how to start an agency with $1,500 and grow it to seven figures. And to talk us through this journey, I've got Justin Christianson, the founder and owner of Conversion Fanatics. And he's actually done this. So we're not just going to talk about some ideas. We'll talk about how he actually did this himself. So Justin, thanks for taking the time and being on today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. So why don't you give everybody a little bit of your background, and then we can talk about this fascinating journey from 1,500 to seven figures.
Okay. Well, I started digital marketing 20 or so years ago, really in my early 20s. Failed miserably for many years, and found affiliate marketing, kind of went up through the ranks through that. Became partners on a company I was number one affiliate on. We grew it to about 10 million in revenue. Sold it back to my business partners. I guess it's been 10 or 11 years ago now. And then based on some of the information that I published there, I was asked, like, hey, how can I do that? And I just kind of started doing it as a small consultancy, just here and there, just helping out some friends back and forth. And then partnered up with my longtime friend who had a team kind of built out and already started doing what we do now. And we each threw $750 in a bank account and said, here's an idea. Let's take what we know and know other people have been asking us about and see if we can make a business out of it. And fast forward 7 years, we've got the big team, work with the Fortune 500 brands, and have plenty of bumps and bruises to go with it.
Those are probably, well, I find that the bumps and bruises are the most valuable things because they help me get to where I want to go. So
yeah, for sure.
So you guys started with this idea and you pony up $750 each. What happened next? Like, what did you guys focus on to get this journey going?
Well, we had no idea how to start an agency, nor did we have any idea how to run an agency. And in a lot of cases, I like to still think that I don't know what I'm doing. I guess that keeps me humble and keeps me trying to strive for a little bit better. But we started out because we both came from direct response, like direct to consumer marketing. So we just thought, well, what if we just teach it? We know information marketing. Let's just teach how to do this. But we figured out really quickly that nobody wanted to buy it. So we wasted a lot of that $1,500. Getting a webinar together and all of the things that we knew. And then people just kept asking us, well, can't you just do this for us? And we're like, well, we really don't want to be in the service business, but the more and more we went on, the more it happened. We got one client and then figured out that process didn't work and that product didn't work. And that solution didn't work. And we weren't, kind of trying to be a jack of all trades, a master of none in that situation. And just kind of evolved it and morphed it from there, and then hired, our first employee or first contractor, I guess I should say, that was a full-time person, and just expanded the services. And then focused, I guess early on, we really focused on, instead of worrying about selling it, we really worried about how we were going to fulfill it in a great fashion. Because I'm not a systems and processes guy. I'm very much a hustler, go forward, break stuff, leave a trail of dust behind me. And my business partner is the opposite of that. So he cleans up my messes. I go and I just shake a lot of cages and shake a lot of trees, and he picks up the fruit and puts it in the right order and puts it in the basket. But so that's what we did for about 2 years. We focused just strictly on how can we do what we know how to do best for other people, instead of focusing on solely to do it for us, and how do we fine tune it. And what we figured out is the marketplace was, we do conversion optimization, we do split testing for, e-commerce businesses and other lead gen businesses. And what we found out is all of the other players in the market were charging stupid fees and not actually doing it for the clients. So when we stepped in, we decided, well, let's rattle their cages a little bit, and said, well, we'll do what they're helping you do. We'll actually do it for you for less money. How's that sound? And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds amazing. So they were saving money. They were actually getting the service. And then they caught on to that, the other players in the market, and they started offering it as a service. So then now we're going head to head again. So it said, what happens if we shake the cage again? And we said, well, instead of competing with you guys, let's compete with ourselves and an internal team. So I literally do not think I have competition in the marketplace.
Love it.
And we can unpack that later, but I really just focused on what can we do to be an affordable solution that actually delivers the results versus, I kind of like to call ourselves now the anti-agency. Because I just don't like that as a model as a whole. And there's a lot of people in the marketplace that are jaded. So we just focused on the product for good 2 years. Like, how can we better deliver it? And we still work on it, every single week.
Yeah, right. It's never ending. It's never ending almost.
It's ongoing stuff. But when we started, it was all about the product. It wasn't worried about how do we sell it. And I think that paid dividends because we found out that, we could deliver a better solution for a more affordable rate than what they were just not doing. They were just saying, here's your design files, you go test it, you tell us the results. Now we're like, hey, we're going to design this for you, we're going to test it for you, and we're going to give you the results. And now that's evolved into, ongoing full service kind of retainer type relationship. And we've had to kind of change up our process and flow a little bit during that. But yeah, we did not focus anything on sales. I mean, we obviously had our warm market, and we had some things for being in the industry as long as we had been, that kind of got us through. So we made some connections and some referrals started trickling in and did it that way. And then from there, we just kind of expanded into actually advertising and actually promoting it. But that is a completely different story too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
In what works too, because and if you want, I can unpack that too. But we found out that the traditional service of, placing an ad, like I can go out and I can get you customers on a B2C basis. I can generate you leads on a B2C basis, but B2B is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, different ballgame.
You can't just go place an ad and hope you're going to get customers and leads. We've tried. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say how much money trying. And we figured out that just was not going to work for us, that we needed that compounding kind of effort, and we needed to be in front of the right customers on a face-to-face basis, essentially. And we just took a page out of Salesforce and their advertising and their marketing and their lead gen was outbound. I mean, we just took a SaaS playbook and we got really, really good at outbound marketing. 85% of our growth for quite a few years was outbound.
Wow.
It was strictly that: postcards, direct mail, cold email, dialing, to social touches, to a full 60+ day cadence of getting this person's attention, the water cooler effect and all of the things that go into that. And then we found live events sponsorships to kind of couple that too. So we would go to a big industry event like AdTech, or we would go to SMX West, which is a Google event. We sponsored, like Traffic and Conversion Summit, and all of these events. We were just like, whatever we could do to get a booth there, get our name out there, the better. Then I wrote a best-selling book. Luckily, it became a best-selling book. During that, to kind of use that as a overarching. And then my direct response hat got removed, and I was less about direct response, and it was more about, okay, we've got some brand equity here. Yeah, because if it's the typical sales cycle, you have 9, 10, 11 touches. Some say it's less, some say it's more, but more can't hurt.
Exactly.
And when you couple that with actually giving a damn and delivering results for your clients, then the brand equity plays a role. And now you've got people seeking you. When they think about your service, they think about you. They don't think about somebody else, or your name gets thrown into the hat, regardless of what that happens. And that's really kind of what we focused on, is just that revolving cycle. And then, of course, COVID hit and took live events out from under us very quickly. But yeah, that's really where it kind of all started. I guess that's a long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, man. Man, that really paints a clear picture, at least for me. Early on, it sounded like you were focused on how are you going to be different versus better, right? How much did that play into, or that philosophy play into that part, as well as kind of the maturation of the company?
Well, I mean, you can throw a rock and hit an agency, particularly these days. I mean, everybody and their brother is a digital marketing expert. Yeah. It's like, well, how do you cut through that noise and that clutter? And instead of being, we were different in the fact that we approached it differently. We approached it from how we did it for ourselves to grow. We grew companies 500% for ourselves. It's not in a year. It's not that we just went out there and, hey, today we think we can make a buck doing an agency.
Yeah.
It was, we've been practicing it for 10 years. So it's how do you actually deliver that in a way and set yourself apart? And I know how to email market. I know how to write direct response copy. I know how to build websites and landing pages. I know how to do, to run the ads and do all of those things. But we wanted to be really great at one thing. And that was the one thing that really set ourselves apart from previous competition in our previous companies, is, the optimization part. Everybody screams traffic, but nobody really screams the conversion piece. And that's the piece that's missing, particularly for businesses that want to grow and scale. So we really took that approach on how we could, obviously, yes, be the best and deliver a great product, but how could we differentiate ourselves in the market? You've got good, fast, and cheap, pick two. And we weren't necessarily, in the beginning, we weren't necessarily the cheapest. And, but we wanted to be good. And in fact, we wanted to be great at it. So, we weren't always the fastest. So we wanted to kind of marry those three together as much as possible. But now we're not necessarily the cheapest, but we're not necessarily the most expensive. But we deliver faster. And I think we're the best in the market. But, again, I don't pay attention to the other competition out there. So we really and we started the company. And this is probably an important note to add, is we started it with no egos.
Oh, I love that. I love that, man. That line was worth this whole interview. I'll tell you that right now, man.
And still to this day, my business partner and I have never butted heads. Never. Because
you take that approach.
We take that approach. It's like, whatever it takes is what it takes. It's not going to be, oh, you needed to do this, you didn't lift your end of the bargain, you didn't do this. We've all got our strengths and weaknesses. We are polar opposites, but we know a hell of a lot about the same topic. So he has a different approach than I do. So we've come at it from, and if you're fortunate enough to have a business partner, I know a lot of partnerships are not like this. I've had them. He's had them. We literally said, no egos, 50-50. We're just going to do what it takes. You do you. If we don't agree on something, we don't do it. And if that's literally it, if we cannot come to a logical decision on it, yes, we kind of bicker, and give our points of view and just say, I don't like this, but we come at it with really no ego. It's like, if we can't wholeheartedly agree to do it, then we don't do it. And it's worked so far.
It's kind of like you don't fight over things, but you share different perspectives and appreciate the other perspective to create a result, whether it's doing something or not.
Yeah. And that's it. And then we literally, I mean, whether it comes down to, I'm sitting in our lounge in our office, which literally nobody's been in here. I think our ops guy's here and it's me typically because from COVID, but, whether it's to order office furniture and what type of office furniture, it's just the little things like that, to what we sponsor, what we don't, what pieces are we focusing on this month, what in the processes are we going to change? Everything. We literally make sure everybody knows, like he or I know exactly what's going on at any given time. And because of that, we've been able to adapt very quickly and evolve and change the way that we do things internally without any resentment, without any, irritation, because we're rowing the boat the same direction. So we came at it with no egos. Our philosophy was continuous daily improvement, or the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen.
Love it.
So that's it. It's literally our motto. It's written on a big poster out here. Yeah, literally that's our company mission is Kaizen. We continuous daily improvement. I don't care what it is, whether we're better, 1% better at client communication today or what, I don't care. Something has to improve that day. And that's how we built the entire company. Literally, I'd like to say it was some secret sauce, but it was actually just giving a damn, really caring about whether we deliver results or not, and not forcing situations that we could force, and communication. And I always tell people that if anything ever falls apart, it's somebody didn't embrace the process, somebody was not patient, and somebody didn't communicate. It's one of those three. And that's where it falls apart every single time. If some client relationship falls apart, it's somebody didn't communicate, or the expectations weren't set and communicated effectively. And I never want it to be me.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
I lose far more sleep than I care to admit over campaigns. But yeah, we just tried to set ourselves apart from being different. When they zigged, we zagged. We did something different. We disrupted the market. I mean, several different times. And now where it really came to a head with the branding and the execution side of things was, I mean, really during COVID, when it really came to a head where we thought, okay, we're in trouble because everybody freaked out. We thought we were going to be 50% down by the end of April of 2020. And it went the opposite direction.
What? Really?
Yeah, it went the opposite direction, like by many, many multiples. I mean, it was absolutely insane. But since we were a lean operation, we understood our inputs and outputs, and we understood what we could do. And we had such a reputation in the market that when everybody decided that, hey, this isn't as bad as it is, that what they say it is, when after everybody freaked out, in particular, we cater to e-commerce businesses. And everybody, my name was the first one that got thrown in the hat, or Conversion Fanatics was. But what stemmed from that is I was actually speaking at a conference in Dallas a couple of years ago. And I wasn't wearing Conversion Fanatics gear or anything, but I was going up the escalator in this very large hotel. And somebody said, hey, Conversion Fanatics. As he's coming down, I'm going up. And I'm like, okay, there might be something to this, because he didn't say Justin, he said Conversion Fanatics. Yeah,
the brand.
And yes, I'm known as the guy from Conversion Fanatics, and I'm kind of known as the expert in the field in a lot of senses, but the brand stands on its own, because I'm not in the trenches every single day. I'm just in the trenches supporting my team. So what can I do to make sure I lift them up and I make sure they deliver a better product or service, because they're way smarter than me in a lot of cases. So yeah, we're not in a competition with anybody else. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, how do you compare to so-and-so or whatever? I'm like, I honestly have no idea. I don't know what they do. I don't care.
So I kind of two questions, but I think it's one, is how, because that you don't really compete against anybody, is that from kind of that Kaizen kind of continuous improvement thinking, like, hey, if I focus on other people, I can't actually focus on myself?
It is, in a sense, but it also stemmed from a meeting that I had with a potential client. We do very little business locally.
Okay.
But I, at one point, because we're not afraid to try stuff, like literally try advertising or marketing gimmicks or tricks or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, one time I think I remember sending crisp $100 bills with a letter to CMOs of like 10 companies, and like at the point in time when we did not have $1,100 to blow, and I sent out all of that and failed miserably. I think we got one response. Like, it was whatever, it is what it is. But I had my assistant at the time email a bunch of people from our local business journal in town, like new businesses started, whatever, and ended up having a meeting with a very high profile CEO that had just moved to town. He just taken a round of funding from Michael Dell of Dell Computers.
Wow.
He had already had a public company, and I estimate the guy's worth close to $1 billion. Moved to town, he's like, yeah, sure, I love meeting cool people. And I just moved to Austin, so absolutely. So we went to lunch, and I said, "Who's your competition?" He shrugged his shoulders. He had no idea. And I said, "You really don't know your competition?" And the words have stuck with me since then. And this is 5-6 years ago, very early on in the company. He said, "I'm just trying to deliver the best product or service that I can for my customers, and the rest will take care of itself." Or paraphrased.
Yeah, I get it though.
But so that has stuck with me ever since. And I just thought, if we can just be a little bit better every day, if we truly care and we just deliver a great product or service, the rest will follow. And sure, we don't win every time. It's it's a service business. It just doesn't always work that way. I think there's a 2-star review on our review profile. We're human. We make mistakes, but we just try to eliminate those. But we just try to be a little bit better than we were every day. Just try to be a little bit better and the best product or service. And it's catapulted now. 2020 and 2021, we do some basic branding, advertising, and the rest of it's inbound. Like, the rest of it is just, hey, this is the guy you need to talk to. They need help.
Wow.
I have so many conversations every single week with people that, we planted the seed 5 years ago. I had a call the other day with somebody that we talked to originally in 2017.
Wow.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, we didn't talk, but now I'm with this company, and I remember you from back then, and you helped me out with so-and-so." And I really come at it from that perspective of, now more so as we're matured. When you're early on, you kind of take every dollar that you can get and force situations that probably aren't there. But we've changed that tune. So now I even tell people on sales calls, it's like, or when they're interested in having us help, I'm like, I need to see if I can help.
Yeah,
first.
right.
And
Yeah.
if I can help, I'm going to do everything in my power to help. But I have to be able to get you a return on your investment with us. If I can't, then I'm not going to force the situation. And everybody really, truly appreciates that. I don't hard sell anybody. I don't do any of that. I just say, like, we're here. We're a resource. We're a solution. We're a tool. We have this service. This is how we do it. If you want those results, we'll help you get them. But up until that point, we just, it's taken, I like to say we're an overnight success. I'm now 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
But Conversion Fanatics is 7 years old now this spring. I guess I don't even know what month it is. It's February. So next month we will be 7. We literally came up with the idea in January of 2014.
No way. That's cool.
And threw our money in a hat in March, I think is what it was. So we actually didn't even join forces till a couple months later.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we're coming up on our 7th birthday.
Wow, man, this sounds like such an awesome, crazy journey. Well, and I think one last question, because man, we could go in so many directions. There's so much meat on the bone here. So it sounds like you, I think it plays in with this improve 1% a day. In my perception is you you built the company in small iterations. It's like you were improving and, hey, let's get better. Okay, kind of how does that work and get better? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, so that's the frustrating part. And going back to that, I didn't have the first clue about first starting and running an agency, and I still don't. And I go back to that patience word is I don't have any patience. Fortunate enough, I have young children, as I know you do too. They test your patience and they teach you patience. So, and my daughter's 10 now, so I started this company after she was born, and my son's 8. So actually, he was a baby when we started this company.
Yeah.
And we really, you can't get that instant gratification that we're so used to in marketing. I can't place an ad and measure and adjust that way and steer it like on a daily or even weekly basis. The change I make today, I won't see the impact for a couple months on how it actually played out, or was that effective? And even at that base, it's kind of a cohort analysis. I'm a data junkie. I look at numbers all day, every day. That's what we do, but I can't do that on an apples to apples comparison. So I'll make a small change, or we'll try something, and then we'll wait 6 months and see if it actually worked. All the while, we're making 5 or 6 other changes in different areas. But again, it comes back to that we're not afraid to make changes and fall flat on our face. I mean, I remember one time we spent literally our last dollars. We were down to almost nothing, and we were at a large event that we had sponsored, and we're like, we're done, guys. If we don't get more business, or we have to lay off staff, and we're
this is it.
Payroll. How are we going to make payroll? How are we going to do all of it?
Man.
Literally at this event that we just spent a whole bunch of money to sponsor, it's like, if we don't get like 10 new clients out of this, and that's stretching it. Like, that was, if we were lucky to get 30, 40 leads and close 5, 6, 7 deals. I mean, that was a solid event for us. We said, if we don't get 10, we're done. Like, what's the no-brainer? Like, what's the no-brainer offer? We're like brainstorming on the airplane. We're landing, we're driving to the hotel, we're brainstorming. And I remember, looking at my business partner, like, if we don't do something, we're screwed. And we ended up getting 11.
Oh my God.
Clients out of the deal. But it wasn't out of death. We didn't position it as we positioned it as the place of authority, not out of the place of desperation. Because I think if we would have really shown our desperation, because again, I don't know how to run an agency, I think that would have made the turning point. But I don't know if that answered your true question. But I seem like I'm going on a whole bunch of tangents right now.
No, you're good, man. You did, because it's, in my business, we use a lot of the Kaizen theory of constraints, this type of thing in sales. So I get your thinking on, hey, let's kind of build this in small iterations, because there's a lot of people that want these huge companies, or they have this aspirational goal. And if they don't get it right away, they think they fail, but that's not true. What I found to be true is building things in iterations and continue to build upon foundational things is what helps you get the momentum. Helps you get that feedback from the market to figure out what your next step is.
That's exactly it. You just nailed it, is the feedback from the market. Because what I think doesn't matter
at all
at the end of the day. And I tell that to my clients too. It's like, what you or I think doesn't matter. It's what your visitors with their credit card out ready to buy your product from your website matter. But it goes back to that I don't know what I was doing, so it's just like, I just tried stuff and something stuck. We continued doing that, and it built upon it. And I think, we did too at the same time. We started the company when we first formed it as Conversion Fanatics, and we were going to go all in on this agency. Because when it started, it wasn't called Conversion Fanatics. It didn't get named that till like 9 months later. It was actually because we tried to teach it. So Conversion Fanatics in and of itself wasn't a cool enough name. But true, we started it too to not, I just lost my train of thought completely.
You were talking about how It didn't start out as Conversion Fanatics.
Oh yeah, it didn't start out as Conversion Fanatics in that, and we didn't really start out to know exactly what our product or service was going to be, but we also started out thinking that we're going to build something when we named it Conversion Fanatics to sell it. That was our goal. 0 to millions as fast as we could, because we're used to scaling other businesses and direct to consumer. We grossly overestimated our abilities to do it from a B2B perspective. Not along the way, we've had many offers to buy us. We almost went public on the London Stock Exchange as part of the big roll up. I mean, it was a big madness thing, but we started it out in a position to like, we're going to grow it and sell it. That was it. That was our main kind of initiative, and everything we've done has kind of fallen into that bucket. Yes, we've deviated from it just to do whatever it takes, but that was how we built the company, to build that foundation so we can take those risks. And we can, adapt and change without kind of siloing ourselves into that position. But, we thought we would do more in less time, and it's taken us, now we're finally to the point where like, oh, we might be getting there now. But again, it's always those people, everybody, I mean, particularly in the agency world, you can go on Facebook and you can see an ad for, 15 new client leads a month or whatever. And everybody's teaching it. We tried all those services, every one of them. None of them work, at least for us. Anyway.
I've tried them. None of them work. Me either.
No, I mean, we've done the LinkedIn stuff. We've done it for ourselves. We were really great at outbound. We even tried outbound services that didn't work, and that thought they could get better results from our own internal efforts. But we had mailed, I don't know, 180,000 plus contacts, and I think it was stupid. I mean, the amount of results and impact and learnings that we had from it, because we're optimization people. I can optimize that. Did they open the email? No. Did they click on the link? No. Okay, how do we optimize that? I can optimize that target. But this moving target of agency land is different. But yeah, we just built it to do what it is, that we just built it to sell. And I think that's the foundation that we've built, is around a team and not around a sole purpose, and, being a sole provider and all of that thing. And we can actually, we've proven we can sell it with salespeople. We've proven we can do all of those things. So it makes it more appealing for when the timing is right. And in fact, we turned down an offer last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Just because we're so close. I mean, we're this close to what our ultimate goal was. But it hasn't come easy. So everybody claiming that it's going to be easy, they're lying to you. For those listening to this, to take something, it sounds good. The title of this, whole podcast is, 1,500 to millions, and it didn't come easy. I mean, there's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of what ifs and unknowns and trial and error and falling flat and almost losing it, and not, worrying, wondering where we're going to get payroll from, and firing people in HR and hiring people, and, all the admin stuff like health insurance, and, navigating all that stuff, getting an office place, and then a pandemic and all of that.
Yeah, right. What do you do with that, right?
We've been in this office for almost, I guess it's 5+ years now, but it's like a big wasted space. But what do you do at the same time when you're in a lease?
As an entrepreneur,
it is.
Sign up for it.
I don't think people really see that. But I think the biggest lesson I would probably take from this is no egos, which I talked about. Don't overestimate your abilities, because it's hard. An agency is not an easy business model. And just care. Don't chase a dollar. I mean, there's times you're going to want to, but it never ends well. If you can't deliver on it, because I see all the time, I'm sure you see it too, you'll see the screenshots of the person's like, hey, I just sold this guy, on a $10,000 a month retainer, and now what? It's like, what do you mean now what?
Exactly. Like, oh my God.
Like, I've been doing this for 10 years before I ever even tried to sell it. So I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people in the marketplace are jaded. They just think that, it's going to be easy and they can make this money. And yes, you can make good money, but are you going to be around in 6 months, let alone 6 years or 7 years? And I was talking with a friend of mine this morning, in fact, about this. He's in the sales recruiting business and he does sales for mostly insurance. So very cutthroat, very brutal industry. And he was just saying, like, keep grinding, keep consistency. And I've literally preached the same message on hundreds of podcasts, written a book about it. I've spoken on stages about it. I've written countless blog articles. I think one year I wrote 120 blog articles.
Whoa, that's awesome.
On optimization. I was banging them out left and right.
Yeah.
600 word articles, just brain dumps. They're still on our blog somewhere, I think. We don't even update our blog anymore. That's how crazy it's been. But
wow.
But I just, it's consistency and persistence coupled with giving a damn. And that's how we've grown this entire company. It's nothing, no rocket science. It's just learn from our mistakes, go forward. But I think it really does come down to just truly caring and trying to catapult it from there.
It sounds like you kept it simple, and that doesn't mean it was easy. It was just when you keep it simple, you can focus and get things done. So I appreciate you taking the time to explain that, man. And as we wrap up, why don't you share with everybody how they can get a hold of you or where they can find your book, and anything that you share, I'll make sure it's posted, wherever this video or the audio is. So if you're listening or watching, write it down. Don't worry, it's somewhere around here. So why don't you share how people can get a hold of you and even find the book?
You can find me at conversionfanatics.com, plural. That's some of those old blog articles will be on there.
Yeah.
Not a whole bunch of B2B stuff, but there's a whole lot of B2C. You can find me on social media. I'm all over it. onespotsocial.com/Justin Christianson. That's links over to videos I've recorded over the years on the YouTube channel to, LinkedIn and Facebook, etc. Even over, I think, our Twitter and stuff that I don't even think we update anymore. That's so crazy. I haven't logged into Twitter in a whole long time. And then the book's on Amazon.
What's it called?
Conversion Fanatic: How to Double Your Customer Sales and Profits with A/B Testing. So you could just find that, search my name, Justin Christianson, and should be able to find me.
Awesome.
And I think it's free on Kindle Direct Publishing for Prime members.
Oh, really?
If you want to download the Kindle version.
Oh, awesome, man. That's great. So, hey, man, I appreciate you being on. This was how simple you kept it. I hope that people hear that message to help them get to where they want to go, because I think that's really invaluable. And the whole ego thing was, man, that was such a gold nugget. So I appreciate your time, and thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for everybody tuning into this episode of the On Purpose Growth Podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, please come back for our next one, and we'll see you next time. Take care.